Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Markets Think Simple. If you've ever traveled around the US, there's a good chance you've seen this restaurant. The parking lot's packed, the staff are hustling nonstop, every table has a basket of warm bread on it, and people are digging into giant plates of steak and sides while having a great time. That restaurant is Texas Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse isn't just another steak chain. It's one of the strongest steak brands in the entire casual dining industry. In 2025, the company pulled in roughly $5.9 billion in revenue with over 800 locations across the country. So here's the question. In an era of rising prices and expensive eating out, why are people still lining up to get a table at this place? Is it just because the food's good or because it's cheap? Today, we're breaking down how Texas Roadhouse went beyond simply selling steak and built a brand that makes customers feel like every dollar they spend is absolutely worth it. This video is not investment advice. It's for educational, entertainment, informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Any investment decisions are your own responsibility. Let's walk through the experience together. The moment you step inside, the first thing you notice is the meat case right at the entrance. Fresh, raw cuts laid out on ice, letting customers pick out exactly the steak they want. Once you're seated, the energy only builds. Upbeat music is playing, peanuts are scattered all over the tables, and people are cracking shells while chatting away. Then comes the warm, fresh-baked bread, and it's bottomless. These small details add up to one feeling. I'm actually being taken care of here. But the real star is the steak. Texas Roadhouse steaks hit a sweet spot of freshness and value at a relatively reasonable price. And it's not just the steak. Every plate comes with two hearty sides, like a hand-baked sweet potato or a loaded baked potato, served in portions big enough to fill you up before you even finish the meat. Cutting into an affordable, juicy steak while servers dance through the dining room feels less like a regular dinner and more like stepping into a lively Western-style block party. All of this combined into something bigger than a good steakhouse. It built a brand experience where customers walk out thinking that was worth every penny. This over-the-top generosity wasn't an accident. Texas Roadhouse started in 1993 with a man named Kent Taylor and a napkin. At the time, he'd just been fired from the restaurant industry and had no money to start a new business. He pitched investors over and over and got rejected more than 100 times.
Our market share will double.
But he didn't quit.
We just need the investment.
He sketched out the restaurant he wanted to build.
This is a game changer.
A place where anyone could enjoy
Look
great
at
steak
these
without
growth
breaking the bank,
projections.
and families could have a
The numbers
genuinely
don't
fun
lie.
time. The early days were rough. Of his first 5 locations, 3 had to close. Kent Taylor hung photos of those failed restaurants on his office wall and studied what went wrong every single day. His conclusion was simple. The food wasn't the problem. Management was. The experience was inconsistent from store to store. So he set one guiding principle: legendary food, legendary service. And then he took it a step further. He realized that to actually deliver on that promise, you had to put people first. That philosophy showed up in a big way during COVID-19 in 2020. When restaurants across the country were shutting down and employees were facing layoffs, Ken Taylor gave up his entire salary and bonus and donated it directly to frontline workers as emergency relief. He didn't just talk about putting people first. He proved it. That philosophy became the heart of Texas Roadhouse. Serve great steak, make sure customers have a great time, and take care of the people who make that experience happen. That's how legendary food, legendary service became the foundation of the company's entire strategy. So how did that philosophy actually translate into a system that makes money? The most important piece of the puzzle is the Managing Partner Program. Most chains operate top-down. Corporate gives the orders and store managers just follow them. Texas Roadhouse works differently. Over 90% of its locations are company-owned, and the managers running those stores are called Managing Partners. To become one, you have to personally invest $25,000 of your own money into the company. In return, you get 10% of that store's profits. That structure turns a manager into something closer to an owner. That ownership mindset shows up everywhere. Meat quality, service standards, how staff are managed. The average restaurant manager in the U.S. sticks around for just 2 to 3 years. At Texas Roadhouse, managing partners stay for over a decade on average. Even more telling, most of the company's current leadership came up through the stores themselves. CEO Jerry Morgan started his career running restaurants back in 1997, and President Gina Tubin was a managing partner herself. Having executives who actually understand store-level operations matters. They know what guests want, and they know what employees are dealing with on the ground. The second strategy is making everything in-house at the store level. Most chains ship pre-prepared food from a central factory and just heat it up or assemble it. Texas Roadhouse does the opposite. Every steak is hand-cut and hand-prepped right there in the restaurant. Each location has its own dedicated 33-degree meat cutting room and employs full-time professional wheat cutters who break down whole cuts of beef by hand. Internally, they're called meat heroes, and the company even runs a national meat cutting competition every year. Why bother? Because it eliminates the markup that comes from outsourced processing. That's a big reason Texas Roadhouse can sell fresh, hand-cut steak 15 to 20% cheaper than its competitors. On top of that, the bread is baked fresh every morning and the potatoes are scrubbed and prepped by hand, all under the made-from-scratch banner. It's their way of proving, through taste, that they're not just reheating factory food. Together, these strategies are what actually make legendary food, legendary service real, and they've become Texas Roadhouse's core competitive edge. So how does all of this show up in the actual numbers? Let's start with store count. Texas Roadhouse hasn't been a company chasing rapid expansion. It's grown by making each individual location strong, one at a time. From a single store in 1993, the chain had grown to 822 locations by Q1 of 2026, averaging about 27 new stores a year over 32 years. But the store count isn't really the headline. What matters more is how much each individual location earns. In the restaurant industry, that's measured by AUV, average unit volume, or how much revenue a single store generates in a year. Texas Roadhouse's 2025 AUV came in at roughly $8.7 million. Compare that to the competition. LongHorn Steakhouse runs around $5.2 million per store, and Outback Steakhouse comes in at about $4 million. In other words, a single Texas Roadhouse location is generating close to double what an Outback location does. The real strength of Texas Roadhouse isn't how many stores it has, it's how powerful each individual store is. So how does all of this show up in the company's overall revenue and profits? Texas Roadhouse's revenue has grown steadily from about $3.4 billion in 2021 to roughly $5.9 billion in 2025, a 1.7x increase in just 4 years. But here's the strange part. While revenue climbed, profit didn't keep pace. In 2025, operating income came in at about $470 million, down roughly 8% year over year. And operating margin dropped from 9.6% in 2024 to 8.1% in 2025. So what happened? To understand it, you have to break down same-store sales, SSS, into its two components: traffic, how many customers walk in, and average check, how much each customer spends per visit. Recently, growth in per-store revenue has slowed compared to past years. Foot traffic is still strong. People clearly still love the steak. The real issue is food cost. Beef prices in the U.S. have spiked hard. Drought conditions have made cattle ranching tougher, pushing beef costs up 6 to 9%, while labor costs keep climbing too. Most restaurants would just raise menu prices in response. Texas Roadhouse didn't. To protect that core belief customers have that every dollar spent here is worth it, they chose to absorb most of the rising costs instead of passing them on. That's put the company in a tough spot: deliver incredible value to customers while quietly absorbing skyrocketing food and labor costs. So how is Texas Roadhouse fighting through that pressure? First, keep expanding. Instead of chasing some new business model, they're doubling down on what already works, opening more Texas Roadhouse locations, and in high-performing markets, upgrading to bigger stores with more seating and parking to capture more demand. If people are willing to wait in line, the goal is to turn that line into faster, bigger revenue. Second, grow the sister brands. Bubba's 33, a sports bar serving pizza and beer, and Jaggers, a burger concept, are both being expanded aggressively. Jaggers, in particular, has a drive-thru which helps cut labor costs while still driving sales, making it a promising growth engine. Third, operational efficiency. Digital kitchen systems, waitlist apps, and tableside payment technology. None of it is flashy, but shorter wait times and faster service mean more customers served at the same restaurant. Fourth,
we've adjusted our prices very
increases.
carefully.
In 2026,
just a 1.9% increase to keep this quality.
That's very reasonable.
A
Agreed.
modest move
Thanks for being
designed to
upfront.
protect the brand's
Of course.
value for
Enjoy
money
your meal.
image. These efforts are already paying off. Q1 2026 results showed real momentum. Revenue was up 12.8% year over year, and same-store sales grew 7.1%. Most notably, traffic was up 4.5%, meaning this wasn't growth driven by price hikes purely. People are actually showing up more. Even with margins under pressure right now, Texas Roadhouse is proving a simple but powerful truth: win the customer's trust first, and the rest follows. Let's wrap things up. No matter how fast the world moves or how much flashy new technology comes along, the fundamental things that move customers never really change. Honest food made by hand. The simple joy of feeling genuinely taken care of. A promise that every dollar spent is worth it. It's the simplest promise in the book and also one of the hardest to keep. But by holding on to it for over 30 years, Texas Roadhouse built itself into a $5.9 billion powerhouse. Great businesses always find the simplest truth, even in the middle of the most complicated challenges. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed it, a like and subscribe means a lot to this channel. Thanks for watching.